Welcome to Anthony's MMA Corner. I am your host, Anthony Christian Sepulveda the First. And today, we're going to go over Rickson Gracie's book, Breathe, A Life in Flow. Before we get into the book review, make sure you like, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you would like to become a patron on my Patreon, the link will be in the description. Now let's get to the book review. The book starts off with a foreword by Jocko Willink. I will go over an excerpt from that foreword. When I deployed to Iraq as a SEAL combat leader, I continuously operated with these fundamental principles in my head, ones that I understood because of Jiu-Jitsu. I continue to utilize these principles now in the civilian world, as well as a businessman, a teacher, a father, and a coach. Jiu-Jitsu gives me confidence, but also humility, strength, but also compassion, a disciplined code, but also a free and open mind. As Rickson says, Jiu-Jitsu is not just a sport. Jiu-Jitsu is a philosophy. And it is at the root of everything we do. If that doesn't get you fired up, maybe the opening paragraph will. From the Gracie clan. I come from a long line of proud and pugnacious people that I can trace back to Scotland, home of one of the world's greatest warrior cultures. The Romans invaded Scotland, Caledonia, several times in the first 3 centuries AD. But the fiercely independent clans fought back with a fury that impressed even the mighty legions. When there were no Romans or British left to fight, the clans fought each other. Their leaders were willing to lead from the front and die in the face of overwhelming odds and certain defeat. Another highlight of the book is when Rickson talks about him wanting to quit in his first fight against Zulu. But the support of his father and his brother convinces him to follow through and finish the fight. I'll read a little from that part of the book. When I return to my corner, covered in Zulu's blood, I wonder if it was even possible to hurt this monster. Throw in the towel. I'm dead, I said to Dad. At first, Elio just ignored me, then said, "You're doing great. He's more tired than you." When I said, "No, Dad, I'm serious," he cut me off and said, "No! He's in much worse shape than you. You're going to kick his ass." We started arguing, and Holes dumped a bucket full of ice water on my head that shocked me back to my senses, and as I was gasping for breath, the bell rang. The thoughts of quitting vanished from my mind as I stepped toward King Zulu. Caralho. Gracie's savagery is depicted throughout this book. For example, here's an excerpt. My biggest personal breakthrough came after realizing that my life was less important than my mission. Deep. Another great example of savagery is an excerpt from Steel Sharpens Steel. One evening, my father, Marcelo Bevering, Sergio Zveter, I don't know if those are the names, and I drove over to the Luta Libre Academy. We walked in, and 20 or 30 fighters stopped training and stared at us. Marco Huas walked over and greeted us. Everyone was very respectful. At first, everyone was very respectful. At first, I told Huas that I heard he wanted to fight me, and I was there to fight him. He said that he wanted to fight, but that he would need 4 months to prepare. Come on, man. This made me feel that he was more interested in capitalizing on the fight than proving himself. which pissed me off. I was the one who walked into that lion's den ready and willing to fight for nothing but honor. That's Jiu-Jitsu. Rickson Gracie also doesn't seem to mind ruffling feathers in the Jiu-Jitsu community, as shown in this last excerpt. Carlos deserves much of the credit for creating sport Jiu-Jitsu. But with it came a problem. It transformed our martial art and created a lot of paper tigers who would never step into the ring to carry the flag of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. My father didn't like the sport version because he thought it was watering down our martial art. Elio used to say, "This is not my Jiu-Jitsu," because competitive Jiu-Jitsu is not a martial art. The Jiu-Jitsu I created is a martial art, so a person can defend themselves on the street without getting beat up. All joking aside, Breathe, A Life in Flow is mandatory reading for any martial artist, and double mandatory for you Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. Sure, we all enjoy sport Jiu-Jitsu, we all enjoy the sport of MMA, but Breathe gives you a deeper understanding of what Jiu-Jitsu is, or what it should be. My children will definitely be reading this book, so they know the true philosophy of Jiu-Jitsu and what Jiu-Jitsu is, not the watered down sport version. If I had to give this book a ranking from 1 to 10, I would give it a 10. Breathe, as its title suggests, is a book that really flows. Flows from all of his cool stories that we as martial artists heard while we were practicing Jiu-Jitsu. You get to hear it from his perspective. And to me, that was one of the cooler parts of the book. But you also get to see the different methods that he used, even outside Jiu-Jitsu, to help him become a better person in Jiu-Jitsu and just a martial artist in general. You even get to hear a lot about the tragedies in his life and the power that he took from those tragedies. That he didn't dwell on them, and he used those tragedies to become an even more powerful person. Well, guys, that was my review of Breathe, A Life in Flow. I'm going to leave a link in the description if you guys are interested in picking it up. And I'll see you guys next time on Tony's MMA Corner.